What's up with it, y'all, once again?
Yes, we are back with you guys, and what are we going to be talking about today?
We are going to talk about the last days of Watchtower. Are we witnessing that right now?
Are we?
It's starting to look like it.
Let us know. So, something that became very evident, like towards the end of us, being Jehovah's Witnesses, is the recurrent talks about them kind of starting to push and ask for donations.
For real though.
Like, I don't know if I just wasn't aware whenever I was younger. That could be a possibility, but I do not recall them making talks and things about donating.
No, and I'm sure they'll say in the comments too, like, to make sure we not tripping.
Yeah, it was completely taboo to do something like that back how I remember it being. Like, they used to the witnesses used to pride themselves on being one of those organizations that don't ask for donations.
For real.
And that was something that they would always say, like, even comparing themselves to like the Catholic Church and being like, we don't go around and pass the platter.
None of
like,
that.
we
like,
don't do things like that.
Yeah.
But towards the end, it was like, okay, they always had donation boxes and everything, but they started allowing you to donate in so many different ways.
Right.
To the point where you're not just donating money. Like, you can donate your sky miles, you could donate your hotel points, you can donate
your land. Your land.
Houses.
I remember older people passing away and leaving the rest of their money to the organization. Like, oh, that was so nice. And remember toward the end, like, it was like, the card readers and stuff start coming in the conventions. That was something else crazy. Remember, in the conventions, because think of a convention for anything else outside this religion. It's a money grab.
It is.
And they would have boxes. Every so many yards was another box. To
upstairs. Make it very convenient.
Yup. Yeah. There was no way to get around that. So you're right. That was something toward the end that they started to be like, kind of a guilt trip. Like, and it was more like, if you spending money on these gadgets, what about the organization? What about keeping up with the Joneses?
Yes.
And what about the organization to make you feel bad about, oh dang, you know what, maybe I shouldn't get this new iPhone even though mine isn't working no more. Maybe I should get a flip phone and donate the rest to the congregation. Like,
it's funny because we were just talking about this with like our other XJW friends, and they had even brought out the point about how they were teaching everybody to use the card readers. Like, all the sisters, they were teaching them how to do it so that they can let everybody else know. And it's you know what it makes me think about?
What's that?
Like, okay, you know how sometimes like a homeless person or something will like ask you for money, and you're like, oh, I don't have any cash on me.
Yeah.
But then in the recent years, like, homeless people have Cash App, they got Zelle, they got Venmo, they got the QR scan code.
They got everything. For real, especially down here in Atlanta with these scammers down here.
Man, they have everything. They're like, oh, no problem, I have Zelle. I'm not selling you money.
I'm sure, I don't know if the organization got that now, but I'm sure they probably got the digital ways to finesse and get money out of you now. And remember, on the website, they start adding the subscriptions.
I forgot about that.
I never did. I barely, see, that's why I believe in your spirit and gut feeling. I gave no more, for real, no more than $50 total.
The entire time.
The whole time I was Jehovah's Witness. Total. All together. Now I ain't talking about 50 per meeting. No. I probably gave about $50 as a whole to that organization because I just didn't want to.
Yeah. I don't know. It definitely wasn't a normal thing for me to give donation either. But I do remember donating a few times, but it must have not ever been a substantial amount because I don't remember it.
No, I might have gave him at one time I remember doing a 30 piece, like a 10 and a 20 at once. And it felt like I did the right thing because it had been so long since I didn't give them money. And I got to work where we would collect the money. It would have to be two brothers after the meetings. I think this might have been
count it.
Do the count. And I can't remember if this was before or after I was disfellowship. I don't think I did that when I came back. But I got to do that with another brother, and seeing some of the checks these folks were write.
How much?
I get to talk about this now. One of the biggest checks I seen, it might have been around like 1,000 or 2,000 from one of the elders.
That is crazy.
And it was one of the rich elder that had like the Tesla and stuff. But but then some of the other ones would just be like $5, $10 here. But it would be like counting the checks, that's where it would be more at. But on average, a lot of the people was poor, so it would be a few hundred or something like that.
And I feel like even that is not a lot. Like, I'm sure other people have donated like that, because people have donated their homes,
for
their
real,
homes, their land. Like, we've gotten a commenter who said that they had a whole family, like whoever had passed away, I think it was like their grandma or something.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, you remember that? But they had a whole family, because obviously she's here to tell about it, you know, and she donated her house. Like, how are you donating? You have a whole family that you can leave these things behind to, and you decide to give it to that religion?
That ain't even family. You just reminded me of the when I switched congregations, and it was out in Inglewood, Ohio, which is like kind of suburb and then rural.
Yeah.
So the Kingdom Hall was built on this land that belonged to a sister.
Yeah.
But this sister never went to the Kingdom Hall. So the deal was they donate the land, and then when it was time to remodel her house, which was like, you could see it from the Kingdom Hall, but it was across the field.
Yeah.
The brothers had to do the siding on the house for free because I was part of it, and we had to do that whole weekend.
What?
But we got to do it during field service time.
Nice.
Like, hey, we need some young brothers because there was only a few of us at that hall.
Yeah.
Which is why I went there, and we got to do the siding on the house. But her meeting her, she was not friendly. She was mean, and the rest of her family was pissed about all this whole situation about the land in the Kingdom Hall.
Yeah.
And looking back, I wonder if she was a real old Pimo or something, because she was a sister. But we never seen her or nothing like that.
She probably was.
She had to be.
Yeah, and then she was probably mad that or who knows, maybe she had like a husband or something that was a Jehovah's Witness, or
unless he passed because she lived by herself or something. Yeah.
Like, think about that. Maybe he had passed, and then he donated that land to so she's like bitter about it.
Right. You know? That could be I got all this
that's
land.
Something that would make sense to me.
That I never thought of that. That could be the truth. Yeah, no pun intended. But I'll be pissed too. I got this big old backyard. I could be out here riding 4-wheelers and y'all over here doing Kingdom Hall Jehovah Witness stuff. Like, bro, y'all gotta go somewhere.
Listen, we live around the corner from the Kingdom Hall, and even living that close, we're like, ugh.
I'll give him the finger every time I ride by. I don't even know if nobody's
so petty.
I'm for real. We'll post a picture on our story or something.
So petty. He literally gives him the finger every time we ride by. Nobody's in there, okay?
Somebody in their car listening, or somebody has seen it.
That is so funny.
This is more proof that the organization is coming down to an end, or is in its last days. The lawsuits, not just one lawsuit. And I always tell people, like, when somebody is first waking up, when they ask like, well, what did you see when you went online? I'm like, all you have to do, if you haven't, why they tell you to stay off the internet, just type in Jehovah's Witnesses lawsuit. It's not going to be one lawsuit. You can scroll and it'll show you, for example, you have like the most recent, or it might be one after that, because that was a few months ago, the Norway lawsuit. Yeah. That's going on. So they got hit with that one, and that was about, and then this is the kicker.
But I don't think they lost any money with that. They're just not being funded.
They're not, I guess they're not losing money like right there at the moment, but right.
But they're not getting the money that they were priorly getting.
Right. So, it's more like a long-term thing.
Right.
Yeah, so lawsuit in Norway was basically, it's always tied to New Light. New Light usually goes hand in hand with them getting in trouble with their pockets. And so with them punishing children and disfellowship of children, this lawsuit came, and now all of a sudden we changing the rules on the disfellowshipping, even with children. And then you have like the Pennsylvania lawsuit, like the 5 elders that just went to jail. Finally, they sent somebody to jail for this stuff.
They finally finished that one?
I think so. But I remember seeing the elders' pictures on the news and all that. Yep.
I remember looking it up because I was like, because this was fairly recent, and I was like, oh, it was going on for a while. But yeah, there's that one, and a whole bunch of them got in trouble. Was it because they were hiding cases?
I believe so. Yeah. And I think they were all involved. It's so many lawsuits that you mix them up. It's so many of them. Then the one I seen when I first woke up, I want to say it was the $34 million lawsuit. That's the first lawsuit I ever heard of.
That is crazy.
$34 million.
And that was allotted to one person.
I believe so.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
That's ridiculous. Then it was the one in Hawaii. That was pretty recent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lot. Just think about all this money that's being taken out big chunks. And then with the organization, with the members not being aware of this stuff, they just see it's like things coming from up top, but they only see from the ceiling, but they're not seeing from the roof and chimney. They just seeing what's coming down here.
They don't see anything about what's going on. Like even whenever we were in it, because they don't tell you what's going on, you know, outside in the real world of what the organization is dealing with. You know what I mean? They're trying to, like, they call it protection, but it's not protection. They're trying to keep you in the dark about everything that is happening around you. So once they started merging the Kingdom Halls, like that was a huge thing,
facts.
you know? And we at the time did not know why they were merging the Kingdom Halls, because all these Kingdom Halls were starting to go to one, and they were selling different Kingdom Halls, and it's like you didn't even notice that there was less people going to the Kingdom Hall.
And you know what? I'm glad you brought that out, because we've been getting these Jehovah's Witnesses that watch every video.
I know.
And they jump in the comments trying to, you know, and this is something.
Listen, I'm here for it.
For real. I mean, hey, what Easy say, all publicity is good publicity. But as far as things like this, and this is, I'm going sidetrack.
It's okay.
Dr. Umar, make sure I bring it all back so I don't lose my train of thought. Dr. Umar has said that belief is stronger than truth.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's because your beliefs be so strong that you can be revealed with truth, and it's so triggering that it just throws everything off to where you'll grab for any excuse to keep you afloat. To where it's like, no, I gotta hold on to the belief because this makes me uncomfortable.
You know what that's called?
What's that?
Cognitive dissonance.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is. And that's kind of what happens with this organization. So when we say that the organization is losing members, no, we're growing. Well, that's because we were always told it's getting bigger and bigger and
every
bigger.
Year.
And even in, what do they refer to? Oh, the yearbook says this. I can write a publication that says I'm in the top 2% billionaires in the world if I want to, and I can publish it. And if I tell you don't read nothing else except for what I'm giving you to read, I can literally type whatever I want in here.
Yep, that is fact.
And then once you look around, versus what you read in this book is one thing, but reality, truth, just it settles in.
Yeah.
And when you look around at them Kingdom Halls, I remember being a kid, or being at least younger, when I was in this organization, and they would announce the attendance, and it was close to the 200s. It was hard to find seats.
Sometimes they would have to open the back school just so that you can be sitting in one of the Saturday or Sunday meetings.
You get there late, it's hard to find parking.
Yes, I can't remember the last time that happened.
No, after a while you start to notice, like, it was less and less people. The conventions used to jump. It was on average because I would write down, you know, during lunch or when you come back, they announce how many people was, you know, in attendance. Yeah. Average 4,000. And the conventions would start, I want to say like late June, and it was going to almost August. Yeah. Then the conventions got less people and shorter and shorter. The assemblies, you start seeing other people at the assemblies that you never went to the assembly and convention with. Yes. All of this stuff started to shrink. And like you said, once they start merging Kingdom Halls, people that are in this cult, nothing clicks to go, well, if we growing and growing, why are we getting squeezed into one building all of a sudden? Why are we, you know, and all the Kingdom Halls that got sold, and everybody watching this can relate because we all had Kingdom Halls get sold.
Yep. Babe, you bring up such a good point, because you know what else it made me think of is how, okay, even at the conventions, remember before they were doing, because we've had in the comments too that they were longer, like they'd go
like Thursday,
like an extra day or something, and then they'd go longer day to day as well. Right. So if you look at how strict things used to be, and even with all of the changes that are happening now, it's like they're trying to make things easier and more like palatable for people to stay in and be in, you know? Right. And I will not stop saying this, but like after 2020, I just feel like there was, and people say this all the time, not even who are Jehovah's Witnesses, but people in like a grand scale. Like there's like a grand awakening. Like there's a different energy out here to where people aren't just falling for anything anymore.
People had time to sit and think.
Yes.
And life keeps, you know, we stay so busy that we don't have time to sit back and read, or sit back and just meditate, or just realize what's going on around us,
or what makes you feel fulfilled.
Exactly, because people had time on their hands to see, what do I like to do, who am I, and this flip the organization upside down because there's a lot of COVID escapes.
Man, the pandemic was probably the worst thing that could have happened for Jehovah's
For
Witnesses.
real.
Because I swear, so many XJWs that I talked to, they left in like 2020.
Yup.
So many. I've never seen so many like.
For real, that was us too. I mean, we was already kind of on our way out because we was getting bored, but
we left
that made it easier because we didn't have to go to the meetings no more.
And I think that happened for a lot of people is that they were already feeling that way, or they just had finally some time to think about things and really think like, this does not make me happy. Like, this depresses me. Like, why am I doing this? You know? And you just had a ton of time on your hands. You weren't going out in service.
Yeah.
You weren't going to the meetings. So just think about what people might have been doing. Finally research something about Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, people were spending a lot of time on their phones.
For real, and the pressure was off. You don't have to show up to these meetings and have these conversations and be forced to talk to people.
Yep.
And you in the comfort of your own home. Now it's like, all right, now the people not in the same room with you looking to see if you got your hand up or looking to see if your lesson is highlighted.
Yeah.
Now what you gonna do? And a lot of people, shoot, I ain't gotta get dressed. All right. Or I ain't gotta have my camera on. And then on top of that, I could be on my phone low key the whole time. Or I can, have the TV. Here's my iPad. Back here is the TV. They watching the game.
That reminded me of my dad. Remember my dad had that?
This dude had his phone charging behind the couch.
It had the meeting running. He was not paying attention whatsoever.
For real, I think we watching TV or something, kicking
I was like,
it.
what is on your phone? He was like, the meeting.
Fuck, man, if you don't shut this stuff off.
I was like, are you joking me right now?
Right. Like, man, you don't want to do this.
Yeah, but you can see the pattern of them just like trying to make things easier so that they can keep their members and not lose as many. And what was so funny to me is whenever they did finally go back to like meeting in person and stuff, I remember there was posts saying like, oh, the amount of Jehovah's Witnesses that we received this year is double than last year. But what they don't mention is the year before they weren't having as many baptisms because of COVID. It's not that you're attracting way more than usual. No, you guys had a huge plummet because baptism is like a show to a lot of people. You know, like you don't want to get baptized behind a screen. You know what I'm saying?
You
like
want everybody to see it.
Yeah, you want to go. You want to be in person. So yeah, the way that they try to twist and manipulate things is just so JW.
And not to mention, just because they said people was getting baptized
doesn't mean they were.
Because they lie.
That part.
Now you had mentioned a little bit about how they start changing rules to get people to stay. Just look at the last year.
Yeah.
Within actually low-key under a year. Within the last year, the crazy changes, and one way to cover their tails they always do is we gonna have new light down the line. We gonna have adjustments, and it doesn't click because people are so brainwashed.
Yeah.
If I have the truth, like we always say, if I say that 2 + 2 is 7, and I say this is the truth, you don't believe in this? Are you questioning Jehovah?
Yeah.
And you, oh no, that's the truth. That's the truth. Everybody else don't have this truth. And then I go, wait a minute. 2 + 2 is actually 6. It's actually 6. And everybody goes, new light. But nobody goes, well, you said God told you that was the truth.
Yeah.
But you just gave me the wrong answer.
Exactly.
And you have a long list of giving wrong answers. So if I done told you 2 + 2 was 13, 27, 82, then it went from 11 to 7, and now it's 6.
Yeah.
Every time I give you a new number, you believe in, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
But nobody goes, how do I know you got it right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
And you know what? It's not even just witnesses that do, or just the organization that does that. It's on a grand scale. Like these, even influencers, I noticed, like they'll say something that is wrong, and nobody thinks to check like the math about anything, and they react the same way that like influencers react whenever they're corrected. They're like, no, like I'm not wrong. The like egotism comes out, and all of that egotistic behavior to where they're like, no, we're right, and they will refuse to admit that they are wrong. The organization does that to a T. They are humans, and they fall right into that human behavior.
That's true. That's
for them to act like they're so humble. They are absolutely
the exact opposite. That made me think of the book I'm reading. I always say the 4 elements, but it's the four agreements.
Yeah.
But it says how like in public somebody can embarrass themselves, but the ego won't allow them to acknowledge that they embarrass themselves. But once they alone, you know, like your mind is sitting there focused on like, dang, I made a fool out of myself.
Yeah.
And so when you see people do stuff like that, you understand, like, as Draco the Ruler would say, you know the truth.
Yeah.
Like he would just quote that, you know the truth. And the people that knew that they weren't being honest or that they was being bogus, that statement, yeah, you can jump online and say whatever you want to say, but when it's you at the end of the day in that mirror, you know the truth. And it's the same thing with these type of people. When they out here telling these lies, we don't have to force them to give a public apology or force them to acknowledge it or, you know, any type of closure, because we know the truth.
Yes, and they do too.
Yeah.
Like, even the way that they brought upon a lot of these updates, like acting like they never believed beards were bad, you know.
Or 1975,
And if you never believed those things, then you wouldn't have to make an announcement about an update, you know what I mean? Like, so exactly. But they know what they do and the control that they have over their members, you know. And it's so sad because the members are so blinded, and they really cover themselves well by doing make sure not to read anything online. Don't talk to anybody who leaves. Like, they are heavy. Bad. Yeah. And even the guilt that you as the person who leaves has at the beginning, you know, and feeling like, okay, we were talking to somebody yesterday and she was like, now that I have left, I feel like my identity is me being an apostate.
Yeah.
That's how they make you feel. Like, those words that she said were so strong to me because that is really like the state of mind that you can be in whenever you leave.
And this was such a genuine person. That's was like so sad. Yes. She was so down to earth and such a good person.
She is such a good person. She's so down to earth, and to equate like your identity to something like that just shows the brainwashing that this organization has on people, you know, to take you from who you are as a person and knock you to just being like one word, you know, like, and that's not who you are. And even just the power of the word has to be taken back because it's not anything.
Even the fact that apostate, like we mention this all the time, but we always get new viewers, so we're gonna keep putting that out there. Apostate, by definition, is someone who leaves a religion or a political group.
Yes.
It does not have nothing to do with no Jehovah's Witnesses, with no Kingdom Hall, with no Jehovah's Holy Spirit. With
hating Jehovah.
All of that.
You know, just all of that.
That's all made up. So you've been taught to believe, just like you being bad, Santa Claus not gonna come visit you. Now a kid is devastated, like, Santa Claus, I'm not gonna not even realize this whole belief doesn't exist. It's not real. And the same thing with this. If you leave a religion, you are an apostate. So if you was a Baptist or a Mormon or a Muslim and you become a Jehovah's Witness, you're an apostate.
Yeah,
that's all it means. So once you, and even we got a lot of knowledge because we've been reading and polishing up on some things. But it mentioned in the book, like, everybody has their own discernment and judgment.
Yeah,
and that's where everybody gets it from: your upbringing, your religion, from school. And you take that and that becomes your belief of right and wrong, your own moral code, because it explains your sin is basically going against your nature of what you think is right and wrong.
Yeah.
Here's the kicker. Everybody's mind is different. So what I feel is good and bad may not apply to the next person or that person.
Yeah.
But in this organization, everybody is forced to have the exact same rules. So when you wake up and you look at people like this, it goes, okay, you think I'm an apostate. Okay, that's the way you look at things from your perspective, and then just because
I am, but it's not your definition of an apostate. It's just because I don't believe this
or
anymore.
I'm a devil worshiper now. Okay, and what happens is it doesn't hurt your feelings because that's what you think.
Yes,
but that's not reality. And once you understand that, it bounces right off of you. When people say things, when you really know yourself, and people say things that don't apply to you. Yeah. For example, if I was 500 pounds, I would feel like, dang, man, I'm 500 pounds. Yeah. And if somebody mentions that, people don't offend us, we offend ourselves. So if somebody mentions me being 500 pounds, it rips that Band-Aid off of something I'm already feeling. Oh, man, I feel bad.
It's like pouring alcohol into an open wound.
Yep, like, so same thing. So if somebody is saying I'm an apostate, I am an apostate, my feelings are hurt. But once I know, if I'm in the best shape of my life and somebody call me fat, it's like...
Sure.
Okay. Same thing. Okay, that's not reality. That's just your opinion. So that bounces off. And this is what happens when you wake up from this organization. The stuff people say and think, it's like your judgment is not valid.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to, that's just your perspective of things, you know? Like the amount of comments that we get, even of other XJWs who are like, oh my gosh, why would you guys tattoo your skin and da-da-da? You know, like, that's your moral code. Like, you don't tattoo, but you don't have to tell me not to
because this is,
I'm going to continue to
this is fly where we from. Like this is cool.
It, you know? So you don't have to like it, but that also means you don't have to do it to yourself, you know? But it's the same thing of like trying to just control other people and like,
for real.
They do the same thing with like their kids, and then their kids get the same ideas in their head of what is right and wrong, you know? And it's just like an ongoing thing, and then you get somebody in the mix who's like, I don't believe that anymore. Because at some
point,
black sheep. Always the black sheep.
You come to some point in life where you make your own discernment and you basically erase everything and go, let me figure out what makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And something important to remember, you can have your discernment of what's right and wrong, and you'll know something is wrong but still stick to it because it's comfortable and it's been programmed in you for so long. So even with leaving this organization, you may still feel bad, like, man, maybe I should go to the memorial, or I don't believe in this. This is what happens with a lot of PMOs. Not saying people shouldn't be PMOs. Do what works for you. That's how we should think. I wouldn't be a PMO, but if that works for you, go for it. But a lot of times it's because I know this is wrong, but I'm afraid to step out of this because of what other people may think. And that's what has a lot of people stuck in this organization.
I think a lot of it is just recognizing the why of you doing anything and everything, you know? Because there's some people who will go back to memorials and they do it literally just kind of just to keep the peace in the family and like, oh, it's gonna make my grandma smile or my grandpa smile. And it's like, hey, if you don't have a problem with that, do it, you know? And sometimes things just don't feel like it's in alignment with you, you know? So if you're like, I'm never entering a Kingdom Hall again in my life, that's okay too. Like, and I think people just have this, we all have this thing within like human nature of feeling like we need to tell other people what to do and how to do it, you know? Like, this is the best way to live. Because I catch myself doing it all the time, okay? Like, if I'm being real with myself, I always catch myself doing it. Whenever I see people spending money in a way that I think is stupid, I'm like, that's stupid, you shouldn't do it. You know, I get like that. And it's part of human nature.
Because when we feel like things are beneficial and it's people around us we care about, we want them to do what's beneficial. And the most you can do is really, like, I guess, try to help people out. And leave it at that. But don't make it to where you force it. If you have an idea, present it. And it always helps when you give information to a person to go, you grown, you do what you want to do.
Exactly.
This is what I emphasize. This is what I think. This is not, this is what's right. Because this is what a lot of religious people do. They'll go,
this is fact.
This is fact.
This is the truth. You need to do this or else you're going to hell.
Exactly. And it becomes, you know, all right, I'm such and such religion. I don't do so and so because I'm a Christian. You can't do it either. Well, how you gonna drag me into this? I ain't no Christian. You the Christian. Okay, you don't gamble. Don't gamble then. What they got to do with whoop-de-woo? If this dude over here want to go to the casino, let him go to the casino because he not the church going dude like you. So it comes down to that. But
that's a major problem with Jehovah's Witnesses is they don't have that within themselves. Like, a lot of the things that they do, it's forced upon other people. Like, the amount of people that have felt forced into the religion is astounding. It's like everybody, you know, they've all felt forced or peer pressured in some kind of way, and that's not authentic. Like, that's not you being authentic with yourself. That's not the other person being authentic, you know. It's just, it's fear-based. It's fear-mongering.
Being extorted into doing something. And it's just not a natural thing. And this is the messed up thing about Jehovah's Witnesses. They feel so justified because they go, if you don't want to be a Jehovah's Witness, well, Jehovah gave us free will to pick. And miss me, that's not, it's not, because free will is you hungry, they go to the kitchen, get anything you want. And then you come out with a turkey sandwich and what you doing with that turkey sandwich? You said that's not free will. If I'm saying you got free will, that means do as you please. But I'm not going to turn around and punish you when I gave you the option to pick to do what you want to do.
And they really twist, like, you know, if you believe in the Bible and everything, they really twist, like, God's word and what it says in the Bible, you know, in regards to free will. Like, it's like, oh, you know, God gave us free will, and he made the rules very clear, and if you don't want to follow it, then you have to accept the consequences. Okay, yes, true originally, you know what I mean? But if you look at the rules that they're trying to enforce, it's like you don't know if those rules are still applicable or not. You know, they try to go like Old Testament stuff. Oh, we don't do that anymore, but it still applies to today. These ones do, these ones don't. You know,
they'll
like,
double back on that anytime. Like tattoos, I'm like, wasn't that an old thing?
It was an old Testament.
You know, like they pick and choose what they
don't know. The point is they really don't know their Bible, and that's where it becomes the most annoying. And that's why whenever you talk to even atheists and things, I really like having conversations with atheists, and I like hearing atheists. I'm not an atheist, but I really enjoy their conversation because they're straight, they're logical, they're to the point,
right?
And most of the time they know the Bible better than a Christian does, because
people don't realize, people that don't believe in the Bible, the first thing they say, you need to read the Bible. Most people Most people stop believing in the Bible by reading the Bible. When they go from, instead of somebody telling me what this means, let me read it for myself, and people realize a lot of stuff that makes sense in it, and that's where they stop becoming religious people. And they studied this thing front to back to where they're like, wait a minute, and they can quote stuff to, you know,
scriptures that you would never even know of, you know? And that's why I really like them. They're very logical, and a lot of times they're very knowledgeable of different things. And they're quick to pick you out on the hypocrisies and stuff.
I love those type of conversations. But to wrap this up, is pretty much showing why this organization is falling apart. And I would love to see the excuses that these Jehovah's Witnesses in the comments are going to come up with, because it doesn't matter. You could put things plain as day in their face and they will come up with an excuse. And
the main part that they've really been like double downing on lately is the not talking to apostates thing. Like that's always been a thing, but they have like, the organization has really like doubled down on that. Like
why? It was never pushed like this.
Yes, they are caught red-handed on all of their lawsuits and everything that is going on with them, that they don't want all of those skeletons out of their closet.
And it's hard to control these apostates, as they call it, and
especially in this new age.
And this like for one, our generation is a lot more, I won't say rebellious, because they'll try to paint that as a bad picture, but we asking why. We're not just taking stuff because somebody said so. We want to know why. We want to learn stuff for ourselves. We got the technology at hand.
That's it right there.
We don't have to go to the library no more. We got it on our phones to find out information. And we going, no, that's bogus. We're not fooling with that.
Yes, I think that's the main part right there, is because it's the age of social media. So any information that we want is at our fingertips. Like I don't think that it's okay to just be ignorant to everything nowadays. Whenever the information access is so easy, it's literally in your phone. You can look up anything, you can read any book, you know, like you really don't have to go to a library anymore. Back then, you know, 25 years ago, all XJWs had to go off of was Raymond Franz's book.
That's it.
That's it. Like, what else did they have to go off of, unless they were looking into other like cult books? But in regards to just the organization, that's what they had to go off of. Now, if you go and you search XJW on YouTube or on anywhere else, like the amount of creators is incredible.
There's people everywhere, and you can converse with other XJWs now, versus before you would have to bump into somebody that you may have known used to be a witness or something, or a conversation might come up. Now you can find them everywhere.
It's an incredible age, man.
It is. But I mean, let us know what y'all think. Y'all Jehovah's Witnesses too. Y'all red-handed by jumping in these comments. So I mean, come on with it. But on that note, you know, we got to drop on here on the way out.
Got our healing journals. 2
copies. You know, we have this version here, and this one is the Pimo version. The only difference is the covers and the back. Just in case you got to hide while you reading this. And this is basically helping you escape or deal with the adjustments of, what do I do now leaving this religion?
It's a difficult adjustment. It's a short and to the point, and I want anybody who has bought the copy already, please send us a review. We want to see what you guys thought about it.
Please do.
And how it's helped you.
And on that note, hit us on our Instagram. we starting to grow as a page, so it's sometimes we get a little behind, but
yeah, it's difficult to keep up with messages. I have to say, like, our community is so cool.
Yeah.
You guys are the bomb because we have a ton of interaction. Like, we really don't have a big following, but the interaction is like, it's a lot. So it is difficult for us to keep up, and we're trying to do the best we can. We have to think of a name for our community. Like,
let us know in the comments.
The Awakened?
Like
the
something. Like, we come up with something. Somebody in the comments gonna come up with something fly.
Yeah.
And we're gonna remember them. Like, that's the one that came up with our name.
Yeah, I swear.
But yeah, y'all know. Hit the description for the book. Hit our Instagram at Awakened Truths IG. And on that,
don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.